Well, first of all, thank you for being here, all of you. This is a very important effort, as you all know, and to travel so far with the belief that your small contribution adds up and inspires others till it becomes bigger and bigger, and we finally get the job done. A story that I think might be very appropriate for today is the story of California. And the story of California and the human beings who've come to live here. Now, the human beings who first came to live here, as far as we know, might be 20,000 years ago, maybe longer in some respects. But we know that there were many communities of Californians. They didn't know they were Californians, but they were in this land, right where we are now, and throughout the land that we call California. And these people, indigenous Californians, were they were here for at least 12,000 years in communities. And they their numbers never exceeded 300,000. 300,000 people was all this land seemed to be designed for. And then all of a sudden, these Europeans landed 1769 and started moving through the state. So that today, we have 40 million. We have 40 million people where for 12,000 years, no more than 300,000 can live. So we are embarked on a very bold experiment with no precedent. No one's ever tried to put 40 million people on this particular land. And we're adding to our complexity and burden by having 32 million vehicles powered by diesel and gasoline. We have 400,000 powered by electricity, but that's 400,000 out of 32 million. So we have a real challenge here. Now, in the face of all that, of course, we have so much wonderful wealth, not evenly distributed, but when you add it all up by the conventional measures, California has about $2.8 trillion of gross domestic product. We have all that. But how long we'll have it, and how long will the world have that? I think of my own forebears that got here to California in 1852. And my great-grandfather left Hamburg, Germany in 1849 on a ship called Perseverance. And it took him a few years to get to Sacramento, and then he went a little further and started a little stagecoach stop where I've recently completed my house. And because I'm in the same place as where my grandmother was born and where my great-grandfather first took up residence in the summer of 1878, I'm very aware of the passage of time. And when I walk on the land of this ranch, I often find artifacts, arrowheads, obsidian that was not native to the area. It comes from the coast of California, and this is part of the trade of the native peoples, the Patwan, who inhabited that for thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, they were gone. Not entirely gone, because there are still native peoples living in the area. But their land, their water, the animals, the fauna, flora that they encountered, all that was radically disrupted. For 12,000 years, nobody expected that. So now, we're in that same land. And it wasn't just a few months ago, 4 miles from that ranch, the forest fires were burning. They didn't get to the ranch. And as far as I know, there's never been fires on this particular land. But 4 miles away, the fires came. I saw them. And my neighbors were there working to put them out. And luckily, they were able to do that. But that fire that came so close to where my great-grandfather took up residence so long ago was the biggest fire in California's history. And no doubt, we will have even bigger fires. And as we have those bigger fires, of course, not only do people die, as they have in these fires, not only will thousands of homes and structures be destroyed, but even more CO2 and greenhouse gases will be released. And the more that's released and the more fires there are throughout the world, then the more the planet warms and the more fires we'll get. So we're in a cycle, not a virtuous cycle, but a pernicious cycle. And that's the one we have to change. And it's very hard to change because there's so little memory. One of the things I notice being around government, I've had the experience where I sit in the office in Sacramento where my father sat, starting in 1959. I visited him that year. And then I was here in 1975, and here I am in 2018 in the same office. And so I can think back of what I thought those many years ago when I first came into this governor's office. And so many things are changing. There was no talk in those early days about climate change. In fact, the word environment was not a word that was used. The word conservation was used, but not environment. And so many stories, so many events, and so much activity, and so many people. When my father was governor, there were 11 million people in California. When I was governor, only 8 years later, there were 24 million. And now there are 40 million. So we have unprecedented growth based on more. But as we know, nature doesn't work on more. Nature works on a loop where everything has to fit with everything else. And this economy, which someone wrote a book called Enlightenment Now, and it was all the graphs and charts showing how everything is better than ever. Infant mortality is the lowest it's ever been. The number of people killed in wars is the lowest. The longevity of more people, poverty. In this book called Enlightenment Now, everything is better than it ever has been. It reminds me of Candide. You remember that story because that was in the Enlightenment age. Well, everything is wonderful until it isn't. Until it isn't. Everything was fine on the Titanic till they hit the iceberg. It was great. Well, everything's great, not for the poor people and not for a lot of species that things aren't so great. But we have to have the imagination. And I think we can envision the future if we look back and see the radical changes that have occurred and see what's lasted and what doesn't last. So here we are gathered at this global summit where we're trying to boost our own ambition and spread the word to everywhere else. I signed this week an executive order that commits California to zero emissions in the entire economy by 2045. Doesn't mean we'll get there, but it does give us a good chance because in the past, we can look backwards, and governor's executive orders by Arnold Schwarzenegger about reducing emissions ultimately became law, and then the law ultimately becomes effective. So I've signed the law for 100% renewable in the electric sector, but I've also signed not a law, but the executive order to go to zero emission by 2045. Inconceivable in many ways, but scientists tell us that if we don't get there, we're going to have irreversible climate change. So we know what the imperative is, and everyone has to do their part. Cities, states, nonprofit, business. And we can get there with a lot of luck and a lot of transformation, because we are being asked to transform. This is not change. This is transformation, which we're being asked to do. And that, I think, that's analogous in religion to conversion. We have to make a complete switch from where we are to where we need to go. And a zero-emission world is a completely different world than the one we're in, and how we got here today. But we can see it, it's getting closer, and the progress that has been made is quite incredible. 10 years ago, we could not have imagined that we'd be this far. So we are making progress. The risk of failure is very real, but the opportunity and the possibility of success is equally as real. And it really depends on us, on how we act and what we do and how we motivate others. Because as we feel the change, we make the change happen, and it will resonate, and we will make it. We will make this reality come true if we can make it true in our immediate surroundings. That's what I'm doing in California, and that's what you're doing. And as we all pull it together, I think we're going to get the job done. So thank you for coming, and thanks for being a part of it all.